Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello, Coach Carey.
I guess you're just sick and tired of me.
Oh no, no, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm
Everyone
sick
does
and
that,
tired.
yeah.
Oh no, I don't know how to help myself. Seriously.
Oh, it's fine.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm
Good.
awesome.
Good.
Yeah, so we'll get started right away.
Okay. Okay.
So how do you feel about your Jira installation and the practicals, the beginners video so far?
Oh, it was very easy to understand. It was really
All
good.
right,
Yes.
awesome. So, have you created a project
Oh,
in
I haven't
there
created a
or you
project
want
yet.
to? Okay,
Yes.
that's the homework for all of you.
Okay.
By next
Okay.
class, Tuesday, I would want you to again watch that beginner's video and
Okay.
apply everything that you saw there. I would
Okay.
want you to come to class with a project in your Jira and title the project Scrum Master Level 1 Training.
Okay. To Scrum
Not
Master
just that, I would like you to create 8 user stories.
Asia stories.
Yes, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, up until chapter 8.
Okay. And you
That's all.
said the title was Scrum Master
Scrum Master Level 1 Training
Level 1 training? Okay.
project. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my own Jira board. So from next class, I will not be sharing my own board. You will be sharing your own board and will be speaking from your own board until we are done with the entire program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking for my board. See. Okay. All right. So tell me, do you want to tell me how we should move this work across? You're muted. You want to unmute yourself?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. It wasn't letting me move it. I was trying to look for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right.
Yes.
No problem. So I want to hear from you how we should move this work across. So how would you move this? Developers are the one updating this board, not the Scrum Master.
Okay. So chapter 3 is now done. So I'll move it to done. I'll
All
drag it
right.
over and move it to
I
done.
think I would move it to in
Oh
review.
oh oh yes. Review. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So normally it should be here. So if this was your board, it should be here if
Oh
this
okay.
was your board. And then as you think that you're done with developing the code, because this is the code you're developing, and then you don't just want to call it done because no one has reviewed it yet,
Oh
you
yes.
see, because we want it to be double checked. That's the whole point. So that because it only takes double checking to catch errors and fix them before it finally gets into the hands of the customers. Which
Okay.
is why, even though you think you have is done to the best of your understanding, we still want to put it in review.
Okay.
And then those that are in charge of reviewing the codes, they would come here and then once they see what is listed here, they would work on it, review it until they say, okay, yeah, it's good to go
Okay.
before it will now be moved to done.
Okay.
So now that we're here, let's quickly run a daily scrum. So if you go ahead and share with us what you
Oh,
have.
oh yeah. So what I accomplished was I finished chapter 3, and I also learned more about the 3 empirical processes, and I got a deeper understanding as to what empiricism is and what it stands for, what it means. Um, my impediments were that um, I'm a bit confused as to in the review, are customers a part of the review, and are customers also the same as stakeholders? Are they a stakeholder? in the process. So that was my question. And next, I plan to accomplish is finish chapter one, and as well as review the test questions that are in the PowerPoint.
Awesome. How do you feel about chapter three?
Chapter three, it was I'd say it was very straightforward and
Mm-hmm.
easy to understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to always say this way whenever we get to chapter three is really the beginning of Scrum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So as you go to chapter four, you will start seeing details, in-depth things. And then chapter five is all about the metrics and reporting, the velocity, the burn down chart. No, there is no, yeah, the burn down chart, the release burn, all those metrics, you see them in chapter five. So yeah. So from chapter three up until chapter six, it's Scrum. And then chapter seven and eight is everything else that you need to know that is not part of Scrum,
Oh,
the
okay.
traditional Scrum. Yes. Okay. That's good to know. What do you understand by stakeholders?
Stakeholders, I believe, is everyone who is involved in the process of the sprint, as well as in the project goal. So everyone who's involved up until that end process leading up to
Okay.
the project goal. So I
Okay.
say the team. I believe that it was uh the customers, but that's where I'm a bit unsure.
Okay. I'm going to give you my definition
Okay.
of a stakeholder, and then and then you and I will check Google's definition of stakeholder.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, stakeholder represents any and everyone that has some sort of interest on whatever you all are looking to accomplish. In this case, a project. Every and anyone that has some sort of stake or interest in that work that is being done. Let me use a simple example as a building construction project. You, the owner of the house, you are a stakeholder. Me, the builder of the house, I am a stakeholder. The designer of the house is a stakeholder. Your local, what do you call this thing? Mayor, where you need to go get approval to do certain things on your in your house here in
Oh
the
yeah.
United States. Yeah, your
Okay.
local city council,
Just a
something like
council.
that. They are stakeholders. The people that you get the supplies from to build your house, the materials, they are stakeholders.
Okay.
Because if you close down that project, their own business will suffer.
Oh yeah.
You see,
Yes.
me that I'm building the house, if I close the project, if you close that project, I will not have money to feed because that's how I make my money by building your house. I'm a
Yeah.
stakeholder. So any and everyone that has some sort of interest on the whatever it is called a stakeholder.
Oh,
So
okay.
now let's put it in the software in a corporate space. We're working on the software. The core team working on that project are stakeholders. That is the Scrum Master, the product owner, developers, engineering managers, TPM, all of those people that have some interest on that particular work as stakeholders. The business people, that is the sponsors of that project within the organization, they are stakeholders. Who this project is serving, or who the okay, let's take an example of, let's say we are working on authentication software for a bank. Authentication would mean to allow bank users to be able to authenticate their login information for security reasons before they can get on their account. These bank users, you and I, we are bank users, we are stakeholders. The people sponsoring that project that are internal to the organization, that is upper management or leadership, they are stakeholders. The people working on the project, they are stakeholders. So that is the meaning of stakeholder.
Okay.
So me
So,
just explaining the meaning of stakeholder, does that answer your question?
yes, and my other question is that so in a sprint review, if we're the users of the authentication application, will we be present during the sprint review?
Yeah, wait,
Well,
let's
okay.
first of all, let me show you,
Okay.
Google's definition. I don't know, is it Microsoft? A stakeholder is a party that has an interest in a company and can either affect or be affected by the business. You see,
Oh yes.
can either affect or be affected by the business. That is who a stakeholder is.
Okay.
Now, come again with your question. I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh yes, because I saw it says that in the sprint review,
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders are present. So if we're
Mm-hmm.
just the users of the application or just customers using whatever the app is, will we be
Mm-hmm.
present or would they have someone representing us?
That's a good question. I'll explain to you how this works.
Okay.
So, whenever we talk about customers from a product team perspective, it depends. Customers are either internal facing to the organization or they are external facing to the organization, or both. So, we need to know who our customers are. Now, I'm going to use an example for a project I worked on when I was with a medical device company. The name of the software we're developing is called LIMS. That is, LIMS is an acronym and it means Laboratory Information Management System. So this software was being used in a chemistry lab. That was where my office was, inside a chemistry lab. And the purpose of this software was to track the activities of all the lab users, including myself. Even though I was in that lab as an agile coach, all the other people working in that chemistry lab were more of engineers, chemists. And what they did there was, what we did in that lab was, because that company focused on creating medical devices. So any part that has to go into that medical device has to be tested in the lab first, because the medical device it goes into people, into human being, and
Yeah.
their life depends on it. So it has to come through our lab first. They test these things, make sure that it is of excellent quality, it's doing what it's supposed to do before these components are now sent, being given back to the different businesses within that medical device company so that they can produce whatever medical device they are trying to produce. You see, so now we are supposed to track all the activities of these different chemists that work on anything in that lab, including myself, which being working on the software. We had this central tool, which is called LIMS, Laboratory Information Management System. You can look it up if you want. So the purpose of this tool was to track all the activities, all the incoming requests, components that has to be tested, and then once they are tested and then be checked off back to and given back to the customers, everything, I mean, like everything, all the purchases we make, supply chain, everything. Now, remember I said the people who used this software were the lab users, you see. So our customers in this case are internal facing to the organization.
Okay.
So if we are in a sprint review, the people that would be in that sprint review will not be, it will really not concern outsiders in this case,
Okay.
because outsiders don't use this software. Only lab users use the software. So they are our customers. And usually it's not everybody in the lab that will connect for the meeting, which if they want to, they are welcome, because the sprint review is really that only meeting where everyone is welcome to attend. You see. However, we want the key people who were the sponsors of that software to be there, because they are really the ones who give us feedback based on what they ask us to do, like the chemistry lab manager, the chemistry lab director, those kind of people, because they were the ones that approved that this project should be done, because we needed that tool. That is it for internal facing customers. And then now remember the software I talked about when I worked in a bank, the authentication
Yeah.
ID selfie software. Even though the sponsor of the software was internal to the organization, yes, that's our internal customer. This particular product was being used external to the organization by external clients. So they had some set of people that we call, remember when I talked about the user acceptance testing people that
Oh
were,
yes.
yes. So these people now represent the external customers. So during this sprint review too, they are also there present. and then internal to the business too are present, and then they see these things and provide feedback,
Oh,
you
okay.
see. So we also have projects that we work on, and the customers are 100% external to the organization, you see. So they are the ones paying for the work to be done. That I think so. I worked for another company, and what we were doing in that company, medical it was a medical company. They produce all this IV stuff and all of that. And they also were in charge of creating the server that hospitals use to manage all of the medication that goes into the patients. So that's the server actually automatically make sure that not overdose and not underdose, or track all of the information with patients. So this particular organization, they will create that server primarily in English. Now they have customers all over the world, like in Italy, in Belgium, in different places, all over the world, that uses different languages, you see. So when we create the software in English, we partner with external vendors, they translate it. This was a whole other project, just the translation piece. They translate it in other different languages that will meet the need of our customers, because the customers have paid for the subscription. It was a subscription thing. Now, these customers ask that this thing be translated in these different languages. And now this thing has been done. So when we sit during sprint review to review that work that has been done on the translation, the stakeholders, the customers in this case, will be those customers in these different countries, in these different hospitals, you see. So they were the ones connected in that meeting.
Oh,
And then
wow.
they'll provide feedback if it's good enough, if the translation is great, and if the software is doing what it's supposed to do. And then we'll use that information to make adjustments.
Oh,
So
wow.
those are the different kinds of stakeholders, really based on the product you're working on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
no problem. All right. So anything else? Usually the third class is always very short.
Oh,
So
yes. Yes, it was very short. Yeah, the video was
yeah.
short too. Yes. I'd say, can you, see, I know, at the end of the video, you mentioned the backlog, refinement. You touch on that a little bit more, on the
Okay.
process.
Did we
Yes.
did we actually talk about it, or it was just mentioned?
It was just mentioned, and also you mentioned of some optional Scrum events. So I just want to
Okay.
know
Don't
which
worry
one of
about
them.
that.
Okay. Oh,
Don't
okay.
worry
Okay.
about that. That
Okay.
should be in chapter 4, the
Okay.
details. Because you
Okay.
have to know it. It's not even optional. You have to know it very well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in our next class, we will definitely be addressing that if you still have the question. But I'm very sure that by the time you're done with it, you would answer your question for you.
Okay.
Mhm. All right. Anything else?
Um, I, I think that's yeah, that's about it.
That's
That's
pretty
all the
much
questions I
it.
had. Yes.
All right. No problem. Yeah, I mean, if you come across anything else, feel free to bring it even when we are reviewing chapter 4. That's
Okay.
totally fine. So in that case, I think I'll be giving you back 37 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
All
Okay.
right. See you then in.
Yes.
Okay. Remember, just to recap, please
Oh,
come
let me
on Tuesday, and
yeah.
everyone else that will be watching this, come
Yeah.
on Tuesday with your projects already installed, created in your Jira. Use that beginner video to do
Okay.
that step by step. And in the process of doing that, if you encounter a challenge that you don't even know how to resolve, you're confused, please text on the Slack channel. And as I have the
Okay.
chance, I'll be more than happy to jump in and help you respond to whatever challenge you're facing. But the
Okay.
point is, make sure you come on Tuesday with your project installed, because I need you to already not only be listening to that video, I need you to apply it.
Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Coach Karen.
no problem. I will
Thank
see
you.
you then on Tuesday next week. Have
Yes.
an amazing